Okay, well,
Three,
welcome everybody.
two,
What's
one,
that?
action.
Oh, thank you. I needed that. I needed the action. So today I'm going to be talking about the SU series of instruments that we carry here at Fletcher Music Centers. And for those of you who don't know me, you've probably seen me in the classes. I like to help out a lot, but I'm usually not in front of the camera teaching. My name is Sean. I think I taught the regular classes the Wednesday, Thursday a couple of weeks ago, so you might recognize me from that. Uh, I am here in Mesa, Arizona. So luckily you get to see me and you don't even have to take a flight or anything. So I'm going to be talking about the SU series of instruments today. So from this way, that way, I have over here, this is a Rhapsody. Right behind me, that is a Royale. And then on this side right here is a Stardust, okay? There are a couple more in the line. Obviously, I can't fit 6 different instruments right behind me. So there's also a Legacy, which is the smallest one that we carry, which is a phenomenal value as well. If you have that, that's good for you. So there's a Legacy. There's also what's called a Sensation, a Performer, and then I think Stardust Gold. That one's a kind of a limited release we did. And then we have a Palladium and Grand Royale. So there are several of them, and they're all mostly pretty big. So we're going to stick with these ones for now. And away we go. So the biggest question I get with anybody who either, got an instrument from us or, needs help with their particular instrument, no matter which one it is, and this is actually part of the topic I taught in our weekly class, is how do I pick a rhythm? How do I know what to do? I have so many choices. What do I do? Well, the easiest way, and this is a great way to get started with your instrument, and obviously some of you have had it for quite a while, and it'll help you just the same. So I'm going to move over here and hopefully not fall over. So I'm going to start with these here. Like I said, this on the right side here is going to be a Rhapsody. And what's really nice with this one, it's the first instrument here in the line with a touch screen. It's a nice black and white, easy to read touch screen here. But what I'm going to do to start off, if I want to choose a rhythm to play with, say I pick up a song, and maybe it's, here's an example, Glenn Miller. You've all heard of him. We use him as an example a lot. What style of music would you call that? Anybody? I don't know why I always do this. I always put the microphone up to my ear when I need to listen for an answer. But the answer for that would be big band. He's a big band leader. So I'm going to touch the button that says big band. Boop. And that's all I have to do. That's the easiest way to get started. You go by those blue buttons on the left side of your instrument. Okay? So you go by genre. So if you're going to play Hank Williams, what button do you think you'd press? Country. I can read your lips. That's good. That would be a country button here. So I'm just going to start out with just that. It's simple as that. So here's just with the big band button, and it literally brings up Glenn Miller to play with. So listen to this here.
Sounds
So
a little
that was
heavy.
Glenn Miller's rendition of In the Mood. Robert, did you say something?
Yeah, I said it sounded like a lot of heavy metal.
Oh, yeah. That's one way to describe Glenn Miller as a heavy metal artist. All those heavy brass instruments and metal instruments. Thank you, Robert. So that's the first example. Touch big band. Now, if you have a Legacy or higher, I think all of these have this. You'll see a button on your instrument, that says variation. Does that sound familiar? And that's great because it doesn't, like all it does is it takes your big band button, so I'm going to use big band again, touch big band, and then I'm going to add the button that says variation. You can't see it from there, but I'll get a little closer in a bit. Trust me, it says big band variation. And what that does is it brings a whole different variation of big band. So here's an example of this. This one, it brings up on the screen. If you have actually Legacy or higher, they all have an individual specific name for the style of music. And I'll talk about that in a second, too. So here's, if I put variation 1, it's going to be totally different. Wow, I just woke up all the neighbors here in the mall. We're at the Superstition Springs Mall in Mesa, and you can't see it, but behind this camera, there's just a hallway of people walking around the mall because it's not 1,000 degrees in here. So when I play something like that, I see them going like this. What's that? Is there a train in there? So that's a real live train they recorded for that. That's called Swing Train. Now, as you keep going, these instruments that you have in the SU series get kind of formulaic. That means they use sort of a formula, or a combination is what you could say too. For example, I had big band variation 1. What do you think I can do after that? Variation 2. Yeah. So there's a second button. It's right next to the variation 1. It says 2. So if I touch that with the big band button on, it gives me another one. This one's called Chicago Swing. Let's show you this. I won't go through every style of music, but this is just the beginning part. So this is Chicago Swing. So big band variation 2. I love those intros and endings. I hope you do too. They're very fun. You wanna use those, okay? So I went through the examples so far. I'm gonna move over here because it's a little bit closer. I did big band, then I added the other variation, which gives me a completely different style. Then I did variation 2. Now, this is for if you have this one here or higher. So this is above one above and beyond the Legacy. If you have that, that is this Rhapsody here. If you touch the variation 1 and 2 together, you get a variation 3. Yeah, ooh. So what's cool about that is it's just another big band here. A big band variation. So I think in the mid to late 40s, big band music, rather than relying on entire big bands, you know, tons of, like Robert said, heavy metal, brass and saxophones, woodwinds, they actually they went into something called boogie woogie, where they combined big band and blues music a little bit, and it turned into something called boogie woogie. So on this instrument, they add a third variation of big band music called boogie woogie. So let's try that real quick, see how that goes. Can't get enough of those endings. That's great. So that is how the variations work. You have variation 1, variation 2, you push them together, you get a third one. Now keep in mind it's not adding to the band you currently have. I have some people that think it's kind of, you might have heard the button alter style. It's different. It's hiring a totally different type of big band, okay? And that's my big band example. There are other examples I could have done, you know, like country music. They're all completely different. You've got things from regular Hank Williams country swing to you've got The Train in there, which is more of a bluegrass type style. So moving on, you have something that's not called a variation. There's another button that's next to all your rhythm styles. This is maybe for if you're a beginner or if you're still learning. There's actually a button called Basic. Okay? Now this is another kind of add-on button where if I'm playing something like big band, and maybe I don't want all that stuff going on in the background, maybe I want it a little more simple, I can touch the button that says Basic. And it just turns that big band into a basic big band, not a lot going on. Nice, slow tempo usually. Here's an example of what that sounds like. Straightforward, just to the point, no messing around. It's not trying to sound like anybody or replicate anything. It's just a basic big band style of music that you can use with any song you want. So it's good for practicing and learning. So that concludes this kind of section. I'm going to talk about something else now. I might actually bring up the screen here. I've got something here to show you. If I can find it. Well, let me show you this. I brought this up. This is kind of cool. So this is exactly what I just went over here. This doesn't have the variation 3 because it's the legacy. So it just has your regular style. And then it tells you if you touch that variation 1 button, you get a different type. So look down at that contempo button. It's all the way toward the bottom. It says contempo. That means contemporary. So for example, you have the style, the main style. When you touch that contemporary button, it's just going to come up with a folk style. So if you're playing something like Bob Dylan or you know, something like that, you've got a folk band that you can hire. If you touch the variation 1 button, You get a disco band to play with, which is, I'd say, contemporary. And then variation 2, Sandyman, which is more of a what's called signature style, which I talked a lot about in my weekly class, if you saw that, which is based on the song Mr. Sandman. Sounds great. And then if you look all the way on the right, it says basic contempo, which just means it's, you know, no frills, just a basic style of contemporary music. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the formula part of it works. Like I said, you touch the button, you've got 3 different ways to do it. Now, as you go up the line, obviously, you have different options for that. You have, actually, let me show you this, because if you have something like this, I had a student who just got one of these. This is called a Stardust Gold. Now here's where it gets really fun with these variations. Look at all those different types of music you can do here. So it starts with variation 1 and 2 just like we had before. But look on that line where it says variation more. I'm going to show you how that works here. It actually, instead of numbering them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, since there are so many different styles of music, what it does is it breaks them down kind of by mood, okay? So you've got your rhythm style, your 2 extra variations, and you look at that first mood, it says variation more, it says mellow, and then exciting and danceable, popular, and all the way on the end, these are some brand new rhythms that they put on the Stardust Gold. I'm actually that's what it is. I've taken one of these in on trade. Actually, I should be getting one in today as well. And I'm excited because I haven't had one of these in a long time. But you see all those extra rhythms there where it says Stardust Gold? All of those rhythms are from instruments that are from what are called the A series or EX series, which means they're the high-end ones, the $80,000, $90,000 instruments. But they just kind of upgraded the Stardust so that it has all these new rhythms, the best of the best, and it has no, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the USB as well, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to show you how this works with all those mood buttons. That's what I call them. I don't know what they're supposed to be called, but I call them the mood buttons, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come behind me. Actually, I'm going to go over here that you can't see, to the one you can't see. Hold on a second. Let me aim this around. I got to be careful not to trip over every chord I have set up, because you know that's going to happen. Actually, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that. I have another camera set up, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use this here. But I'm going to go to the Stardust over there on the left side, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with those moods. So on this one with the touch screen here, this is really cool. It works the same way. If I touch the big band button, now what's cool is instead of having to touch those variation buttons, all I have to do is touch one of them, and I get those moods on the screen, okay? So rather than touch variation 1, variation 2, I can touch both of those buttons together. Instead of just getting one, I get 5 more rhythms, and they're all kind of separated by mood. So if I look at that first one, it says mellow, and it gives me a rhythm called Bert's Bounce. Bert's Bounce is the rhythm name. I get that confused a lot. Some people say, oh, I like the exciting rhythm. Well, that's just a breakdown of the certain style of music. So I'm in big band, so all these styles there are big band. So if I touch exciting, there's my boogie woogie. So it turns it into an exciting style there. Danceable. This is fun. This one's called Vegas Big Band. I'll show this as an example because it's really cool. What's great about Vegas Big Band is it takes you right back to the late 1930s with the swing bands and they have dance-offs and all that stuff. I'm going to show it to you here. So here's Vegas Big Band. This is the danceable button. I'm always too early on that. So that is one of the most fun styles to play with. That's called danceable. You can imagine people swing dancing in a big room to that. And here's the last thing I'll talk about. There's the basic button, and then popular. And popular is the new button that is on the Stardust. So if I have big band on, my popular rhythm is called Frank and the Count, and that's Frank Sinatra and Count Basie. So we got a question here from Cecilia. Go ahead, Cecilia.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
The question is, I have a Prestige, and it has the names already of those mood things.
Yep.
Is there? I don't have no button that says mood on mine. Is that
Nope.
just Stardust?
That's correct. So what they do in the A series, so the Prestige is just the series above these SU instruments. So instead of having the disc, it has a USB. It's kind of upgraded technology, and they do away with these. So instead of having by mood, it just tells you the style name. So on here, all you have to do is, if you touch the button, see how that brings up the name, Vegas Big Band?
Yeah, it brings all of that already.
But on yours, it just has those names like Boogie Woogie, Vegas Big Band. It's all on the screen, so you don't have to worry about what mood you're in. You just kind of have to click on the style name. Good question. Do I have any other questions or anything, anything I've talked about so far? This should hopefully break down how to pick a rhythm style, because that's probably the most important thing, because it's the hardest to figure out when you're starting out. What do all these buttons mean? So, any questions? Either I'm doing a great job teaching or nobody's listening anyway, one or the other. So, I'm going to move on here.
You're the best clinician ever.
Oh, thank you, Robert. I'll give you $5 later. All right. So let me see if I had anything else I needed to share. Okay. I'm going to move on from that. This is the second segment, I'll say. This is about choosing a sound to play with. Okay? So we talked about picking a rhythm. You should be able to figure that out. And what I like to do is kind of a process of elimination. So I choose a genre of music, and then I try all those different buttons on the screen and my two different variations. Now, this is for choosing a sound. So if I'm playing something like Latin music, let's do that. I'm going to push the Latin button. Latin, and you can see on my screen there it gave me what's called a bossa nova. That's just a regular Latin style rhythm. That's the first one that comes up right when you touch Latin. And then what happens, the easiest way to choose a sound to play with, and most of you know this or should know this, are those 10 buttons right in the center of the organ. You have numbers 1 through 10, and that's called rhythm preset buttons. They look like this. Does that look familiar? So what these are, this is really cool because the series before these SU instruments, you know, before the Royale and Stardust, things like that, they had what was called X series. And those ones started out with just one rhythm preset. So basically, you turn on your rhythm, you touch the button that says rhythm preset, and you get a good sound to go with that style. Well, that's just one sound, and that was on the $70,000 instruments at the time. And now we got this. We've got not just one rhythm preset, but we have 10 additional rhythm presets for every style of music. Now let me explain what that means here. I'm going to close out of this here. So what that means is when I have that bossa nova rhythm on, I should put it there, bossa nova rhythm on, I have 10 extra sounds to go with it. And I'm going to touch this here, my number 4. You guys should use this if you don't already. It's called custom number 4. It's on the bottom left side of the instrument. I'll show you real quick. Oh, never mind. My camera's attached and it doesn't go that far. It's if you look to the very bottom left of that instrument there, you see the power button. Hopefully you all know where that is, right? You've turned on your organ before. That's good. So right below that, there are 4 buttons. They say 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when you touch the number 4 button, which is the last one on there, go figure, 1, 2, 3, 4, it gives me a screen on the touch screen that looks like that. And that just kind of, also, it's a formula. It breaks down your rhythm presets. So you have your 0 position with none of those buttons on. When none of those buttons are on, you have just a regular sound to go with your bossa nova. Okay, so I'll show you what that sounds like. And then I'm just going to start touching through these other numbers, 1 through 10. And you'll kind of see, for an example, how it works. So if I touch the number 3, what kind of sound do you think I'm going to get? An organ sound. Yeah, exactly what it says. If I touch number 4, it's going to give me strings. But the great part is it's going to go specifically with that style of music. So they're going to be different than if I chose something like country music. You know, if I choose Latin, it's not going to give me, you know, banjos. Cool. So I'll show you what this is like. I'm going to start with the 0 position, and then I'm going to start touching some of those other buttons there. So let's see if I can get this to show that, and maybe you can see me a little bit there. All right, here we go. So that's how it works with the rhythm preset buttons. Did that make sense to everyone? And you can use this here. We've shown this in some of the classes, actually. This will look familiar to some of you. That is the kind of formula. Like I said, these instruments are very formulaic. So same with like the rhythm or the variations. You know, you touch the style, you have several different variations in there to choose from. So when you have the rhythm preset button on, you have different combinations of sounds you can do. So when you touch any of those numbers 1 through 10, you should have a sound you like in there somewhere. And look at it, it describes every single one. Bells and whistles, happy and fun sounds, you know. And you probably heard that when I was playing it. It had a nice little marimba when I did that. So that's just an example of what those sounds are gonna be. So, all right, any questions on how the rhythm presets work? Because that's super important. If you just got an instrument and never played before, everything I've talked about so far should get you going. You know, you can sit down and play a song. You know how to choose a rhythm now. You know how to pick a good sound. Ramon, you got a question? Hold on. Is it asking you to unmute?
Yep.
There we go.
Okay. I looked at the Latin and rhythm presets,
Mm-hmm.
and you were on the Stardust, right?
Correct.
And I have the Palladium, so my
Cool.
my music is different. Correct? They're not the same.
Your music is not different, but what it does on the Palladium is it tells you, I wish I had a graphic, I don't, but what it does is instead of telling you the formula, instead of showing a formula like that,
Right.
it actually tells you on the Palladium and above. So if you, Cecilia, you have the Prestige, if you have an instrument higher than a Stardust, it'll tell you not just these different types of sounds, but it'll tell you exactly what it is.
Okay.
So they kind of went away from using like the sort of formula type stuff rather than the, you know, mellow, exciting, danceable rhythms. They just tell you the name of the style. And same with the rhythm presets here. Instead of telling you organ sound, you know, kind of general, or piano sound or vocal sound, it tells you. It'll say something like octave piano, and then there'll be a slash, and it'll say trumpet or something like that. The slash means after that, that's what's on the bottom. So it tells you what's on the top and the bottom keyboard exactly. So that's kind of nice too. So good
Thanks.
question. Yep, that's on the Palladium and higher. So if you have a Palladium, that's how that works.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? These are good questions. I like questions. D, let me unmute you there. Go ahead, D. Should ask you on your screen there to unmute. There you go. I see.
Okay. No,
You're good. I hear
there.
you.
Is that better?
Yep.
If you have the rhythm preset button pushed and then
Sure.
you use one of the general presets, are you layering? How does that work?
No. Okay, that's a great question. So let me show you here. I think I turned off that thing here. Let me pull this up for you real quick. Share screen. So look at this screen here. When you see that up, when that's up in the middle of your instrument there, and you see that rhythm preset button is on, it's red, that means all those buttons, 1 through 10, are going to be a rhythm preset, not a general preset. When you turn off that rhythm preset button, so imagine that's off, because it's just a picture, I can't turn it off. So imagine that light on rhythm preset is off. Those 1 through 10 numbers are going to be general presets. And a general preset is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a general sound you can use for anything. So if I turn off that rhythm preset, look at this TV screen here if you can. Let's see. See on the top it says general? Now it's telling me instead of those rhythm presets I had before, they're just general sounds that can go with anything. And what's cool is once you turn off the rhythm preset button and you're on your general presets, if you change your rhythm, those sounds will stay the same. Does that make sense? I see a nod. That's good. Yeah, so that's what the general preset does. General preset. Yeah, so I don't know why I did that. All right. So moving on, my last thing, let's see, do I have time? Yeah, I've got time for one more thing. And then afterward, we can take some questions, too, if you just have maybe a general question about your instrument or anything like that. So I'm going to talk about the touch screens a little bit, because these are super handy to have. I'm going to go to, well, actually, let me just show you this here. Oops. Hate when I press the wrong button. Okay, so if you have a touch screen on your instrument, it should look something like this. This is the example for if you have a Rhapsody or a Royale will look very similar to that. Actually the same. On your touch screen, you have a couple options. My favorite one is on the top left there. It says Song Setup. These are great, and what they are is you touch the song setup button, and most of you know this, it brings up an alphabetical list of song titles. And what it does is when you touch that button, that song, it sets up the entire instrument for that specific song. Cool enough? So if I touch that on here, my screen looks a little different on the Stardust. You actually have a color touch screen. Woo! HD. So you have a color touch screen, and when you touch song setup, it brings up an alphabetical list of songs. And I love the touch screen because all you have to do is touch it. Touch and scroll. Those are the words you want to write down. That's the important part of any of these SU series instruments. It's called touch and scroll. So anytime you put something on the screen, you can scroll up and down through different options and touch it. So you touch the one you want. So if I want to play Amazing Grace, I touch it. That's it. And what it does is it set up the whole instrument to play Amazing Grace. I don't have to touch anything else. It put on my introduction, everything. And now I just play. Cool. That's my favorite style to use with that song. It really beefs up the Amazing Grace. Makes it even more amazing. So that is how the touch screen works. Let's see. Some other things on the screen when you have it blank. Disk. This is important. This is if you want to save your work. One of my favorite things to do because I don't like to have to do things more than once, mostly because I'm lazy. But if I do all these button pressings, I like, Latin, and then I love that number 8 sound, and I like the tempo, so-and-so. Rather than have to do it every time I play the song, why not save it, right? And you can do that. That's what that disk button is for, is so you can save it to a little disk. And you have it there forever. And every time, it's like saving your own song setups. It's, a lot of people bring up the song setup and they say, I don't like it. I wish it was different. Make your own. You can do that. And if you need help with that, because that's a whole other workshop is to do that. Maybe I'll do that in the future because that's really, really useful for you guys. But if you don't know how and you want to know right away, call your local store or email Robert back after this class and say, who's my PA? I need a helper. We can do that. He brought up a couple times, there might be a student from, we've got some in Palm Coast, Florida, where they might not have somebody local there. We can do this one-on-one on Zoom, too. So let us know. We'll help you out. So any questions on anything I've talked about today or just anything general? I think I got a few minutes still. Anything I might not have talked about that you're curious about or anything like that? I see Margaret. Are you raising your hand or are you just waving hello? Raising your hand. Good. It should ask you to unmute on your screen there. Can't hear you yet, no, but I can read your lips. If you know sign language, we can try that too. Here, it should pop up now. I just pushed a button that tells you to unmute.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
I hear you.
On the Stardust Gold,
Yes.
Is the basic button the same as your easy button?
No, the easy button is completely different. The easy button
Okay.
is what is making your one finger chords possible.
Okay.
So the easy button, that's all that does. The easy button just turns on a few other buttons. So you don't even have to touch it. It does all that stuff automatically.
Okay.
What the
So,
basic styles are is those are rhythm styles. And what they
Okay.
do with the Stardust Gold is they replace those basic rhythms with new rhythms. So rather than have, because it's more of a professional instrument, you see. So the
Okay.
Stardust Gold, rather than having the simple basic rhythms for learning, they
No.
replace those with all those rhythms from things like a Patriot or a Marquis or the big expensive ones that you don't want to pay $80,000 for. You know, you can get it all in a Stardust Gold. So
Yep,
does that
thank
answer your
you.
question?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome, of course. Any others? Any others? I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to see if Robert is free to do some announcements for you. If not, maybe I can
No, I could do a
give you
couple
some.
announcements. That'll give you time to prepare to do a farewell song.
Okie dokie, go ahead.
All right. So just a couple things. Thank you. Let's before I go on, let's do a virtual applaud. I'm going to see some hands in the air. I haven't got them unmuted, but they're all a bunch of them are applauding right now, Sean. That was a great class. So a couple things this Friday, just as you probably already know this because I sent out an email, but we're going to have Don Casanova and Randy Nemi, who many of our stores don't know who they are because they're up in the villages, and Don teaches almost every single day and in the past and present. And so it's hard to get her to make it work in her schedule. She actually had to change a class time this Friday to make it work. And she actually sings beautifully. You should catch her concert she did as a test a couple weeks ago. I put it on YouTube. This Wednesday and Thursday, I will be teaching again. So if you come to the Wednesday or Thursday weekly variety class, I've got some cool stuff that I'm going to teach. It may be the last one I do on Wednesday or Thursday for a while, but I have some interesting things. One of the things we are going to talk about is, well, you just want to show up because Sean and I have got something we're going to teach up front that have nothing to do with our usual classes, but you're going to want to know. And then I'll have a class that only take about 5-10 minutes if tops, and then I'll teach the class, what have you. And then I've been having some fun with some occasional little virtual presentations and showcases that I've been spotlighting randomly. And I've been having some fun with that. So all I can tell you is keep an eye on your email, because if you get one, it's going to be a show that may say tomorrow I'm doing this, or tomorrow we're going to have Jason Bontrager playing this or doing that. So just little fun things that we're going to do. So keep our eye out in the email. And that's really all the announcements. Although I do want to jump ahead a little bit. Mark your calendars, August 7th, Friday, August 7th. We are going to have, we are celebrating 115 or 16 years in business. And so we thought we'd have a little fun and do some birthday celebration themes throughout the month. Well, we're going to kick the month off on Friday the 7th with a 7-artist Zoom musical. And we're going to have one artist play a song from each store, not all at the same time, one. And we're going to have each store play one number on a different organ, whatever song they want to play. And the entire show is going to be emceed by John Riley, the owner of Fletcher Music Centers. And as I was telling this, well, you're going to have to, give me a little what to do. I said, don't worry, John, just be there, talk when you're supposed to. We'll spotlight you. We'll take care of it. So he's going to be on. He's going to open up the show with some introductions and some notes and this thank you, of course. And as we have each artist on, he's going to be a big part of that. And he keeps hearing how many people we have joining this. So he's going to jump on Friday. That's the 7th. So anyway, you'll get some advance notice on that, and spread the word and join us. And with that said, that's my announcements, Mr. Maloney. So you can play a little farewell song.
All right. So I'm going to play something I didn't get to do because, I feel like people don't play enough country music in these concerts here that we do in classes. So I'm going to play some country music. I feel like in Arizona, there's a questionnaire when you come in. Do you like country music? And if you say no, they kick you out. So I'm going to play some country music because I'm in Arizona. I might as well. And I'm going to use a feature I didn't talk about. You see on the top there it says category country. So I'm going to use a country rhythm style. And instead of using the rhythm presets that come up, I'm going to use a category of sounds. So country category. It's the best of the country sounds on my right hand. So I'm just going to go from 1 to 10, pick out different sounds, and go from there. But I'm not going to leave that screen up. I just wanted to show you. So I am going to put this one on so you can see it a little closer. Here we go. Let's do some Hank Williams here. All right, that concludes my class for today. If you have any other questions on your way out, feel free to ask.
A big round of applause to Mr. Sean Maloney, everybody. You can unmute yourself and do that for real.
If you want.
There we go.
But thanks for coming today, and keep enjoying all the stuff we got going on. We got a whole lot, don't we?
Yes. Good job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Great job.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Connie. Good to see you, Connie.
Good to see you too.
Well, have a good rest of your day, everybody.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.